News Prime.
Welcome to Joy News Prime, a compilation of local, foreign, business and sports, plus your comments coming up in 2 hours. Don't forget to join us via the ABN channel 235 for more if you are in Europe. Now, in the headlines coming up this hour, a 6 to 6 curfew imposed on Old Tafo area in the Ashanti region following clashes over a parcel of land that has left at least one person dead. Two brothers mistakenly shot dead by police in Mampong after receiving an SOS call from a friend of armed robbery attack. Leader of the latest political party in Ghana, the APC's Hassan Ayariga, declares a new dawn for Ghana's politics.
And in business, year-on-year inflation reaches 19% for January 2016. Details coming up shortly.
Also, rising cases of infant mortality forces some residents of Cape 3 Point in the western region to adopt crude measures of marking children with dreadlocks. We'll bring you the details shortly. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Many thanks for choosing us. We begin with at least one person confirmed dead and several others injured in violent clashes between some Muslim youth and traditional authorities at Old Tafo in Kumasi. Joy News gathered the clash was over a parcel of land and has been ongoing since Saturday. The mayor of Kumasi narrated the briefing he had to Evans Mensah earlier.
This morning we had a NECSEC meeting regarding the issue, and say Jack this afternoon the two factions decided to start destroying property, burning ties, and a whole lot of damage has been caused to property here in Tafo area, Kumasi.
And it's obvious from the pictures and the videos you watched that this appears to be a pretty serious, violent situation. What is the briefing again you've had in terms of casualties and injuries?
I heard one person is dead. I haven't been to the hospital yet. I'm yet to go there. And there is one person still lying in the hospital with stab wounds.
I see. I guess at this point it's essentially about bringing this under control. What's the plan going forward? I've seen on videos military and police presence.
Everything is in control. The police and the military have taken over. The RESTEC has declared a 6 to 6 zone curfew. And I think everything is in control. We are in Tafo at the moment with the military and the police team right now. And I think everything is in control right now. Everything is calm, but everybody is waiting just to see what is going to go on. So from here, we're going to have another RESTEC meeting to decide whether the curfew should be on for more days or just for today. No, we're just watching what will happen tonight, how the people would take the situation, because I heard that the people are going to come out in the night to start vandalizing. A whole lot of buildings have been vandalized, cars have been burned, a whole lot of things. So we just have to look at the security situation. The security guys are around checking everything. So by morning, we will know whether the curfew will still be on or not.
We can now speak with Love FM's Erastus Asare, who has been on the beat. Good evening to you, Erastus.
Good evening.
What was the situation in the area? And I'm talking about the curfew which has been imposed.
Well, a number of measures to enforce a curfew that has started. And I'm still with the patrol team now. And what is happening is that people are being asked to stay indoors. A number of police patrol and military patrol vehicles are on the streets now. People, when they are in their numbers coming from town, this is a rush hour still. So there are a number of commercial vehicles that are coming in from Kejesia and its environs.
Right.
And they are ushering them gradually in a line, in a queue, searching some of them who look suspicious to find out if they have implements on themselves before they allow them, escort them to their homes. So there is a huge traffic build-up here, vehicles coming in from KJTR through this end to Mampong and its environs. So that is what is happening here. But a short while ago, we had some information from the Zongo community that they were massing up over there. In fact, I went with a patrol team, and indeed, they were defying the curfew orders. They were gathered in their numbers, hooting at the police and the military. Some of them have currently been arrested. About 4 of them have been arrested. The rest have been dispersed. So a number of military armed military and police in here, ensuring that the curfew is enforced.
We are aware of a RESTEG meeting. Has it ended? What have you gathered?
Currently, I've still been monitoring. Though it's a closed-door meeting, I'm still monitoring through my sources. But still, currently, they are still in the meeting. I learned that they will still be there for the next 1 hour, and then we'll be able to get inside information as to what they have decided on. But I do know from the mayor of Kumasi that this curfew is right through to the next day. They will still keep the military and police enforcement here and monitor the situation while they will dialogue with both parties starting from tomorrow to ensure that they resolve the underlying factors, and then they will decide next on whether to withdraw the security forces or not.
Have you been able to speak with family of the deceased? What have they been telling you?
Well, my colleague, Nuruddin, spoke with the family, and indeed, if you listen to Soft Story, they were expressing grave concerns about what has happened to their relative. I do understand that just in the afternoon when we were here, there was a confrontation. Some of the Muslim communities, some of the youth tried to enter a bank here, and so they were the police personnel were forced to shoot one in the shoulder. I'm learning, unconfirmed, though, that he has passed, but I need to confirm that information. But I do know that he was at the Komfanoche Teaching Hospital.
Many thanks to you, Erastus Asare Donko, for that report. Let's now listen to a member of one of the groups involved in this clash.
Tafo hini, and I didn't look for buy. Say I'm a fence wall. I see fence wall. Ah, yes. Tafo hini, and I didn't look for buy. Say I'm a fence wall.
Steve brought his people to destroy the fence wall. It was built by the Muslim community. He had issues with the fact that we built a fence wall on that land. He rained curses on the entire community because of that. He said whoever would bury a Muslim there would die. Then suddenly today he came here with his people. It is not true that this is a Muslim-Christian fight. All we want is that they rebuild the fence wall for us. That is the only option we are giving them. This is simply unacceptable.
Well, police in Mampong in the Ashanti region have reportedly shot and killed 2 teachers of the, well, before that story, I'm told Nuruddin Mohammed, who has been speaking with family of the deceased in the Tafo clashes, is on the line. Good evening to you, Nuruddin. What have you gathered from the deceased family?
Good evening, Aisha. They haven't returned from the hospital for what I've gathered from the family now. And we are waiting for them to return. But the information we have from their family, those who were at the hospital, is that the guy was pronounced dead. And so we are waiting for them to come back. But I must say that calm has been restored here, and police security personnel are also, patrolling around to make sure they maintain, they bring the situation under control. people have moved into their houses. As I'm speaking, I'm also in my room. I mean, it's quite difficult. We wouldn't see people moving around. We have to lock our main gate and everything. So for now, I mean, calm has been restored, but we are yet to hear from the family and find out what would be the arrangement for the burial.
What's the extent of destruction in this clash?
Where the guy was allegedly shot, the Brewer Bank, I saw that the louvers were broken and some other glasses, of the bank were also broken. And there were some other burning of some tires on the street. Some vehicle too was also destroyed. The screen was also destroyed. But we cannot, tell the extent at which, the extent of damage that has been caused. We actually want to do that tomorrow because the security men here wouldn't allow us to move around to find out that.
But Nuruddin, before you go, earlier we heard that there was a fire in the Etiwa Bank. How true is this?
That is not true, Aisha. That is not true. I went there before the curfew. I was there. I stood in front, and there was not that. What I saw was that the glasses, the louvers, the glasses that were fixed on the bank, the windows were broken. And that is what I saw. The bank was even locked. There wasn't any fire. That is not true.
Well, many thanks to Nuruddin Mohammed from the Ashanti region. We can now cross over to Mampong, where police have reportedly shot and killed 2 teachers of the Mampong Midwifery Training College. According to reports, the police mistook the 2 male teachers, who happened to be brothers, for armed robbers after an alarm of a robbery attack was raised by residents of the area on Wednesday. The Mampong Police Commander, Superintendent Bismarck Ejapon, who confirmed the incident to Joy News, said investigations have commenced into the incident. My colleague Ohim Interior has been speaking with the Mampong Municipal Police Commander.
Our patrolmen were called to a robbery scene. They said there were armed robbers attacking them, so they went there around 2 a.m., 1:32 a.m. They actually showed them where they had passed, so they tried to locate them, and suddenly there was a noise of a moving motorbike. So they actually thought it was the robbers leaving the scene, and they pursued them, signaling them to stop. I made warnings, but that didn't. They failed to stop actually. And according to the information, there were 2 people on the motorbike, and the one at the back actions suggested he was actually picking something like because they have been called to the robbery scene and that the visibility was poor and so many things coupled together. They thought the pillion rider was actually removing a weapon to attack, and there was firing, and accidentally it hit them on the bike. And later we got to know that these were not the target, but they had also been called to attend to the robbery scene, and they were coming to help. So it's not a palatable matter. It was a difficult situation at the time also, given the timing and then the information that there was armed robbery and people were going prepared and extra alert, and the coincidences were just too much to match it to why the same time police were there, these people took off, and it's just the same area close to the robbery scene behind a plot, uncompleted building. So yes, accident has happened, and it's a big problem, but this is all we can say. It's accidental.
So Chief, what happens to the police officers, for instance, who were called to the scene and involved with the shooting incident?
They are all involved in this investigation. The matter has been referred to an investigator. An investigation will be done. We'll forward a report to our officers, and then any action we will hear from them.
Joy News has also been speaking with the medical superintendent of the Mampong Government Hospital and as well as the Municipal Health Director of Mampong, who confirms they are constantly under attack.
In terms of Francis, we see his loss as something beyond imagination, in the sense that he's one of the few tutors who is so trustworthy and reliable to the extent that you only have to say, give an idea of what needs to be done, You don't have to complete everything. You don't need to instruct him, and he does it. So for when you have such an individual you can trust so much, such a loss is something which it will take a long time before we'll be thinking of his replacement. Even when he's replaced, we'll still think there's a gap. And it is one of the unfortunate accidents which will ever happen, but it has happened. So we have notified the regional administration about what is happening. And as a district, we have the emergency preparedness group. And we are meeting and we are discussing. So nobody is happy at all about what is happening. So we don't want to initially say that we want to lay blame. That is not the issue. The issue for us as a system is what can be done so that some of these things cannot be repeated. That is for us the way forward.
Who has been following this story joins me via telephone. Good evening to you, Ohiming. What more have you gathered on this matter?
Yes, the story has been a very devastating one for teachers of the Lesson and Midwifery College, Mampong. I tried to some of the teachers, but they were so traumatized that they couldn't talk. Only one occasion, a teacher, Albertine Sabla, told me when we went to the hospital to catch a glimpse of the remains of the disease. He actually don't know what happened later. He has no idea how he managed to get to the school campus. And the police they also transferred the officers involved, even though aside from they didn't give the number of officers who were involved in the shooting incident. They transferred them to the Ashanti Regional Police Headquarters, where investigations will be carried out. And besides, I'm told the police will also monitor a post-mortem examination tomorrow to ascertain the cause of death. But besides, there are also talks of insecurity, especially among the health institutions in the Ashanti Mampong area. For the past 6 months, I'm told the health workers have come under a barrage of attacks. And most of the time, when these issues are reported to police, nothing happens as far as investigations into those issues are concerned. So the medical superintendent for the Ashanti Mampong Government Hospital, Dr. Kodjo Desinya, for instance, raised this issue that indeed they are not secure. And you see, this issue was also seconded by the municipal health director, Mr. Jacob Amor, who says that yes, for the past 6 months, they have come under such attack. So indeed, it's been a devastating story for residents of Mampong, especially teachers and students of the nursing and midwifery nursing training college.
Well, many thanks to you, Ohiming Teria, for that report. We'll take a break on Joy News Prime. We'll be back with more. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. Now, the Accra Regional Police Command says it will soon hand over investigations into the murder of the Buakwa North MP, Joseph Boache Dankwedu, to the national headquarters. This recent decision led to an abrupt cancellation of a planned press briefing this morning, much to the dismay of journalists who had gathered at the regional office. The police command has, however, refused to comment on the reason for the important case. The MP died yesterday of multiple stab wounds, and so far 5 persons comprising 3 males and 2 females have been arrested in connection with the killing. Joy News Raymond Aqua reports the police still have 5 suspects in their custody and none has been granted bail. Well, Raymond Aqua joins me live for a discussion on the unresolved murder case. Good evening to you, Raymond.
Good evening.
Raymond, what reason, tangible reason, did the police give for transferring this case?
They are yet to give us a reason. I mean, they say, and it's standard practice in their engagement, that if they feel overwhelmed or cannot deal with a situation of a sort of any nature, they may have to give it to the national headquarters, which is the expertise. What is troubling is, however, that they sought the help of the homicide unit first in determining this case and how to deal with it from the beginning. So what is the main reason why they are actually pushing it up to the national headquarters now? Some even believe that they are being asked to present the case. It's not as if they are willingly giving it out to them. The circumstances surrounding the press conference, its cancellation, is what's leading to many believing that it's the bigger powers that are insisting this is a national issue of very high relevance. So the best of the teams are being put out there to deal with the matter. The more reason why the most recent statement from the police, which is actually issuing some bounty of a sort, 10,000 Ghana cedi to anybody with information, also says that they are actually putting together their crack team of experts, the very finest that the Ghana police can do to resolve this particular issue.
But we can also talk of a tall list of some unresolved murders we've had in the past. What have you gathered on these cases?
So I've been scooping from 2013 to date, and there are a list of them. I can just create like 12 for you right now. Right. On November 5th, 2013, we know that in the Brown region, for example, the paramount chief of Sekwa, Nana Kweku Juma Ankwana II, was assassinated. Right. And just 2 weeks after that, and just barely 3 weeks after that, November 21, we knew that the 32-year-old Stanbic backstaff Rosemond Nyampo was killed at Bachuna, a suburb of Accra. Yes, that particular incident. And if you stretch that, in 2014, the court in charge of that particular case, even the police rounded up some people and took them to court, the judge then threatened to free the people who were held as suspects because the police was not forthcoming with enough evidence to prosecute that particular case. Fast forward from the November 21 to December 28, the same year, 2013, one Kofi Tafo, who was actually an immigration officer there, a 36-year-old immigration officer, was killed at Mataiko. Then we move on to the next year, 2014. On March 12, Ni Aite Noyache, the Joma Manche, was also shot and killed by unidentified assailant. Up to date, there is no message from the police or anybody in authority as to how the issue has been resolved. I mean, the indication mostly they do is that they pick up people like they picked up people in this particular MP's case, but a resolved murder will be going to court, having a successful prosecution, so that very good, so that we will get to know that this thing you dealt with it, got to the root of it, and got us results. Now, from the March 20th one, the next day was the day that the manager of Hape Life artist Korkese Fennec Ochri was killed. The next day, the 14th of March, Samuel Dennis Aiba, a 55-year-old businessman in Tema, very prominent person in that particular area, Community 4 to be specific, was also killed. And in April 5th, 2014, 35-year-old branch manager of Zenith Bank, Kwesi Sechipra, was also murdered in Tema, Community 25 to be specific. We fast forward to June in that particular year, 2014. The paramount chief of a Nanumba traditional area, Na Dasana and Dani, was also killed. All of these issues in that year 2014, including the 5th December murder of Richard Sala, who was the branch manager of Ecobank Ghana, who was shot at Abepo in Kumasi, has also not been reversed. Yes, so
on the list.
Yes, so when you move into 2015, just casually look, on September 14, Nana Dusa Japan, the chief of Achuma Koforidua in the Ashanti region, was gunned down by unknown assailants. And we know that November 3rd, 2015, in Kwanta South DC, Peter Kojo Kenyan, so in the Volta region, was also shot dead. And on the 12th of November in that same year, 2015, a Bopam for Kwasin, the Vodafone marketing officer, was also shot dead in his house at Sakumalo. So if you stretch these ones, it brings a retinue of cases which still hangs on the police list. In fact, they've now termed it cold cases. They have a unit they formed last year around the same time to deal with these matters. Up to date, there is no conclusive statement from the police or anybody in authority that we've resolved these matters. That is what the worry is.
So have they been able to give you an update of some of these cases?
What they will tell you in time, I mean, with dates, specific ones, is that we have rounded up people. We took some of them to court. Some of them were freed by the court. We don't control the judicial system, but we are doing all we can to actually make sure that we get to the bottom of all of these cases. But that still leaves lingering doubts in the minds of many. When are we going to get all of these cases resolved?
When are we going to unravel the truth? I mean, regarding the deaths of all these fine gentlemen and ladies. Thank you very much. Raymond, for coming through. Let's do more on Joy News Prime. Central Regional Minister Designate George Rickett Hagan says modalities are being worked on by government to institute pension scheme for fishermen in the Central Region. According to him, a pilot project embarked on in Cape Coast has been successful, adding government is looking at the high points of the trial project to fully roll it out in the entire region.
The pension scheme for the fisher folks is contained in the NDC's manifesto, but it is yet to be implemented. Responding to a wide range of issues about his suitability for the job before the Appointment Committee of Parliament, George Rickett Hagan, who served as Deputy Minister for Finance and Trade until his new appointment, said he will also work towards creating jobs and protect public lands if approved by Parliament.
There are not enough, factories or companies for the people of the Central Region to work in. So obviously we have a high, level of unemployment, especially with our youth. And those are some of the places that I would like to address. Again, the third one, which is not really, I wouldn't say that we have a problem there, but one of our strong areas is in education. And I always believe that what you are good at, you should do more of it. So even though we have enough in education, I think is one area that we can use in sort of improving the development in the region.
Meanwhile, the Minister-designate for the Northern Region, Abdullah Abubakar, says full implementation of the roadmap developed by the Otumfor-led eminent chiefs will resolve the Dagbon crisis between the Abudu and Andani gates.
Mr. Chairman, be rest assured that the eminent chiefs are doing an excellent work in resolving the conflict, and I will offer whatever support I have to offer to enable them finish the roadmap that has already been designed and being implemented currently, Mr. Chairman.
Tension between the two gates heightened following the murder of the overlord Iyana Yakubu Andani in 2002. Recently, intervention by the security forces prevented what could have renewed conflicts over the performance of final funeral rites for the late chief. Mr. Abubakar is optimistic implementation of the roadmap will bring an end to the conflict. Abdullah Abubakar, who twice contested on the ticket of the People's National Convention for the parliamentary election but lost, explains his decision to join the ruling NDC.
Joy News Prime is coming to you from our studios in Kokomlemle, Accra, and we'll be back with more. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Emmanuel Abuaje Riafe is here with the business segment. Yes. But we're told by the Minister of Finance that the economy is gaining ground. How come inflation is going up?
Well, that report came just before the inflation rate was announced, the January 2016 inflation rate.
The minister should have, I'm sure, would have known all of these.
Well, no, I don't think there was any way he would have known, because that's a different institution. And the GSS, or Ghana Statistical Service, is telling us now that inflation has significantly gone up 19% as compared to the previous one, 17.7%.
That's a big blow.
Definitely
on all
a big
of us.
blow. Yeah.
Wow.
And news also just reaching us indicate that the MD for Zenith Bank is to finally bow out of service.
Wow.
To go into some other personal developments.
This is interesting.
Exactly.
I'm sure there are
we'll bring
more
you details in that
stuff
report.
on business.
Thank you very much for
tonight.
joining me on the Joy Business segment. The recent increases in utility tariffs and fuel prices drove inflation to 19% in January. This is a significant increase in the rate compared to 17.7% in December 2015. This is the highest increase over a month in recent times. Inflation recorded a significant increase from 17.7% in December 2015 to 19% in January this year, the highest increase over a month in recent times and the highest since 2013. The main price drivers were in the food and non-food sectors. Year-on-year food inflation rate for January 2016 was 8.2% compared with 8% recorded for December 2015. This translates into a monthly change rate of 4.6% in January and 1.1% for December 2015. On the other hand, year-on-year non-food inflation recorded 25.5%, which is more than 3 times higher than the food inflation rate. Speaking to Joy Business News after releasing the figures, Deputy Government Statistician Dr. Ba Wadie attributed the situation mainly to an increase in non-food inflation components such as water, electricity and transport.
For some time now, the main driver of inflation in the country is the high rate of inflation for non-food items. And that broadly is contributing to the figure we are seeing. But specifically, we mentioned that the rate of inflation that was recorded for the subgroup housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels, as well as the rate recorded for transport, are the key drivers for the rates of inflation we are seeing. Recently, there has been increases in the charges for water, increases in the charges for electricity, increases in the prices of fuel products, petrol, diesel, gas. And these, together with other combined effects, have contributed to the increase of inflation of 19.0 for the month of January 2015.
In the regional distribution, two regions, Ashanti and Greater Accra, recorded inflation rates higher than that of the national average of 19%. Greater Accra region recorded the highest combined inflation rate of 23.1%, while the Upper East region recorded the lowest at 14.1%. Now, one of the major challenges currently facing the economy is lack of confidence among private business operators. The latest business barometer survey by the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, shows a decline in business confidence. Government has, however, implemented several measures to fast-track the economic recovery process. The Finance Minister, Seth Tekpe, also insists the economy is on path to recovery. He defended this yesterday at a press conference to highlight government's strategies towards economic recovery.
Here, it's also a brief to show our path to consolidation and, where we see the turnaround, which is a key story, and where we see, the economy going, and the fact that you can manage, consolidate, and still do major projects, like the Kwame Nkrumah, interchange, the bypass, at Kasoa, airport at Tamale, and various things. You can see that these are projects that have come in the last 3 years. Some of them, on account of disbursement, increase the debt, but we are continuing with them, and also managing the debt. And that is what we have to. This morning, before coming here, I had a meeting with the World Bank Treasury, who are coming to help us to manage our debt. So both the World Bank and the Commonwealth Secretariat, which is the one that is working on our database, are helping us with our debt management. So we are bent on making sure that we contain, our debts.
Also in business, the yields on Treasury bill rates have started going up. The rates are now 22.7% for the 92-day Treasury bill and 24.61% for the 182-day Treasury bill. This was after it recorded some marginal declines over the past month. The development can be described as worrying because of its impact on the cost of borrowing. George Riafe has more.
According to some financial analysts, inflation rate, current Treasury bill rate on the market, and the policy rate often influences the cost of credit on the market. Therefore, with Treasury bill rates going up, which often serves as the benchmark for the cost of credit, it is likely that the interest being paid on your existing loans or the one that you're likely to pay on that new loan will be going up. This is because most financial institutions have often argued that the real determinant of interest rates are inflation and Treasury bills and not the policy rate. Again, another thing that should get government to worry is that inflation rate, which influences the cost of credit, have started going up. It now stands at 19% for the month of January. So whilst managers of the economy try to deal with borrowing less to check the Treasury bill rate from going up, they also have to put in place strategies to check inflation rate from going up.
Now, the managing director of Zenith Bank, Daniel Esiedu, is to bow out after serving his term of office. Joy Business gathers this will take effect from this Friday, the 12th of February, after almost 7 years in office. This is expected to be confirmed at the bank's annual general meeting scheduled for tomorrow. Also, A minister of the gospel and motivational speaker, Joy Business is learning he is to pursue some other personal interests, which could include full-time ministry. He was a chief operating officer of the bank at inception and appointed to the board as an executive director in July 2009 before elevated to the position of managing director in January 2010. He has won some key accolades for service excellence, such as Outstanding Role Model Award 2008 and 2009, Exceptional Leadership Award 2008, both at Zenith Bank Ghana Limited, and Staff of the Year 1998 at Price Waterhouse. All right, so that's it for the business, but we are not out yet. John is here to give us the market news updates, the developments on the stock market, the currency market, and the commodities market.
Exactly,
Hi, John.
exactly. Hi, Emmanuel. It's very good, but I think whether fortunate or unfortunate, well, at long last, yes, the demand, or the demand for the equities of tallow oils gone down. You know, over a period of time, a lot of people, a lot of investors who actually invested in tallow were actually asking or demanding that their shares be sold, but there weren't, buyers on the market. So basically, they had to actually hold on to that particular equity for quite some time, and now it's actually affecting. You know, this year, tallow have had to share almost about 10 pesos on their shares, and today they've lost almost about 6 pesos per share on the market. Exactly, that is one, and number two, I think it's also to do with the price, and basically it's like it's not been moving over a period of time. They've not been paying that much in terms of money to the shareholders. So today we had almost about ETI doing about 2 pesos to their investors, adding 2 pesos to their investors' capital. Benz Oil Palm doing 1, GCB doing 1, and of course tallow shedding off almost about 6 pesos to their investors' capital. That's quite huge on the market. And you know, tallow happens to be the most capitalized on the Ghana Stock Exchange, controlling almost about 46% of the total market capitalization. So that this means a lot.
It's a big blow to the market.
Very big blow to the market. But of course, for those of us who would want to also jump in and probably buy more, this is the time to also go in and then buy. Exactly. So with the hope that exactly. So, but in terms of liquidity and others, I think the market hasn't been that well. The recovery for the market for this week has not been that great. But of course, this particular news is what exactly is it that I want our viewers to actually watch out for. And there's still the pressure, downward pressure for tallow shares, and that's exactly what is happening. And on the commodities market, crude oil started some recovery last week. It's still not able to actually couldn't maintain that momentum shared of, but I think from yesterday it's been gathering recovery momentum over the period by adding on some 68 cents to close the market around $31.02. That is the only gainer on the international commodities market here. And of course, if you want your dollar today, you're supposed to be getting ready to actually shed off about 3 Ghana cedis, 86 pesos. The CD lost to the US dollar, the British pound, the Chinese yuan, and then the euro. It's very unfortunate, but that is how, that's the direction of the CD as we go forward.
Exactly. Thank you very much for that update. Basically. John Amwakon, our stock analyst, has been giving us updates of the stock markets. My name is Emmanuel Apuaji. Keep watching the news.
This is Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And friends of Nana Akufo-Addo Agyeman Rawlings, Fonka, have staged a comeback into active politics after over 3 years of inactivity. The group, which was set up to shore up support for former First Lady Nana Akufo-Addo Agyeman Rawlings, launched a scathing attack on the former executives, describing them as selfish individuals who caused the collapse of the group. Now, the new national coordinator, Joseph Bediako, says the relaunch will focus more on garnering support at the grassroots for the NDP in the November polls.
The relaunch, according to the new executives, is to give Fonka a new identity and support for the National Democratic Party as it prepares for the November polls under the leadership of Nana Akufo-Addo Agyeman Rawlings.
The way we started the first Fonka, they mess up.
If you say they messed up, we know Fonka has been there.
Look the characters. Kofi Adams, Boja Jemfi, Sintose and Co. Look the way they conduct themselves on Fonka.
How do they conduct themselves? Insult,
malign, betraying, I don't know. I'm short of words. You see these characters. Lies. When you get some point, they come and steal the former first lady. You see, it's somebody...
You are calling them criminals?
Thieves, 90%. So...
What is the version of this new Fonka that has been...
Don't forget, the woman is still alive. So you want to protect his legacy.
Her legacy?
Yes, her legacy. That's our main focus. You have to protect the former first lady. You know, so I'm telling you today that Fonka is going to support Nana Konodu, whatever he's doing.
Responding on her plans for the 2016 elections, the founder of the National Democratic Party says her party is currently conducting regional elections to enable it to go for its National Congress. She says all is set for their participation in the November polls, stressing that events that led to her disqualification in the 2012 elections will not be repeated.
Yes, we are laying the foundation. Yes, we are preparing better. And NDP is hoping to actually work more assiduously. We're doing the structures in the regions, and we're going to have a national executive soon. And based on that, a number of people, have shown interest. If the interest is still there, I'll be one of the competitors. If the interest is not there, I'll still compete. So there are a number of people who have shown interest.
Nana Konodu also called on Ghanaians to be bold and speak on matters that bother on national interest. She says the culture of silence is gradually plunging the country into a state of despondency.
There are things that we should all be talking about, which as Ghanaians we've kept quiet. And you ask yourself, why are we quiet? We want an explosion on our hands before we talk. If things are not going well, as a nation, I'm saying that if we go back to basics, our great-grandfathers and mothers did not keep quiet. That's why we had independence. They fought for something. Let us all be strong enough to fight for something. Positive fighting, positive, work that will actually elevate the country or wherever you are in, the community that you live in.
The group presented its new executives to the former First Lady and founder of the National Democratic Party, Nana Konodu Agyeman-Rawlings, at her rich office in Accra.
The flag bearer of the All People's Congress is calling on all Ghanaians to join him if they are frustrated because a new dawn has come and his party is going to revolutionize the political landscape. Hassan Ayariga, who broke away from the People's National Convention, PNC, says his new party, the APC, is a big party and they're ready to win the November elections. He made these declarations when he received a provisional certificate for his new political party, the All People's Congress, at the Electoral Commission today. Kwamno Samprechum was there for Joy News.
Clad in traditional bubu with a wife and party executives by his side, Mr. Ayariga arrived at the EC to team in supporters who came from all over the country. The Electoral Commission presented Hassan Ayariga with a provisional certificate for his new party, the All People's Congress, APC.
Mr. Ayariga, Dr. Ayariga of the All People's Congress, APC, I present you with this provisional certificate.
Deputy Chair of the Commission in charge of operations, Ahmadu Sule, commended the APC for meeting the requirements, but warned there is a lot to be done by the party to get the final certificate.
The law is also explicit on that. We don't go and start canvassing for vote because you've not been issued with the final certificate yet. Wait after the 30 days when nothing is found or nobody has raised the red flag, then we can start to wait and then receive the final certificate.
Mr. Ayariga emerged from the compound of the Electoral Commission brandishing his certificate amidst cheers from the supporters. He urged Ghanaians frustrated by the traditional parties to join him for a new political era.
It's not that Ghana has failed because some bad people are leading. Ghana has failed because the good ones are quiet. And that is why we are suffering. And this time around, we are telling the good ones, wherever you are, come on board. If you are tired of voting, come on board. Let's change the wind of change.
Some supporters spoke to Joy News on why they chose to join the new party.
You looking at what is happening in our country, I think the youth, the unemployment rate is getting high. So we have decided to join APC party so that we can have a successful, development in our country.
From the Electoral Commission, my name is Kwabna Uson Prechim reporting for Joy News.
Away from politics, the University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, is calling on government to lift an embargo on public sector employment to enable universities across the country employ more staff. Now, the teachers say the inability of universities to employ the needed staff is affecting its ability to fully carry out its mandate. Addressing a news conference Wednesday morning, the association indicated the universities, for instance, are unable to run new programs because it does not have enough lecturers to take up the programs. Here are excerpts of that press conference.
Migrating payrolls of the universities onto IPPD2 platform and the freeze on staff recruitment will not only take away the core authority of university councils and vice-chancellors, but also the very independence of the universities that ensures total academic freedom, which is essential for effective teaching and research in all academic institutions of higher learning the world over. UTAG, therefore, calls on government to cease all attempts at migrating public universities onto IPPD2 single salary platform and restore the ability of the universities to recruit additional staff needed to support teaching, learning, and research by the end of March 2016. Otherwise, UTAG will advise itself. There's no doubt that the financial administration and management of public institutions in most countries are under the control of government. However, because of the peculiar nature and functions of universities, it has always been the case that the financial management and administration of universities as institutions of higher learning are insulated from the direct control of government as a strategic means of ensuring and preserving academic freedom and independence. In recognition of this, the respective acts which establish the public universities make succinct provisions for the universities to have unequivocal authority over their finances and to appoint, determine, and manage the conditions of service and benefits of their staff. The acts mandate the councils of the various universities to have oversight responsibilities regarding the administration of the universities, which include all financial matters. Unfortunately, despite a petition by the vice-chancellors of all the public universities of Ghana to the President of Ghana to exempt the public universities from the said migration, the Ministry of Finance has recently directed the Comptroller and Accountant General's Department to start the migration of all public universities before the end of March 2016.
That's it. We'll be back with international news. Now time to tell you what the interactive segment will be about shortly, and Lord Edu Asare is here. Lord, what's up?
Hello, Aisha. How are you doing? I'm
doing well. You?
I'm okay. Aisha, how far would you go to stop your underage daughter from getting married off?
I'll use the last drop of blood in me. I'll use it to stop that marriage.
You don't say.
Definitely.
Well, President Mahama didn't miss words when he warned he would commit murder and go to prison if anybody attempted to marry off his underage daughter. But what about you? What will you do to stop your underage daughter from being married off?
If my daughter is below 18 and somebody attempted to marry her off, I probably would be in prison. I'll commit murder, you know, so.
For me, I also go his way. I'll commit murder. What the president said.
Well, also, police have shot and killed 2 brothers at the Mampong Midwifery Training College after mistaking them for armed robbers after an alarm of a robbery attack was raised by some residents of the area. We'll be taking all your comments, including that of some Muslim youth who clashed with traditional authorities over a piece of land when I return within the hour. My name is Lord Harris Idosari.
So, Lord, joining us pretty shortly with the interactive segment. Stay and don't go away. Time now to recap the headlines. A 6 to 6 curfew imposed on Old Tafo area in the Ashanti region following clashes over a parcel of land that has left at least 1 person dead. Two brothers mistakenly shot dead by police in Mampong after receiving an SOS call from a friend of armed robbery attack. Leader of the latest political party in Ghana, the APC's Hassan Ayariga declares a new dawn for Ghana's politics. In business, recent increases in utility tariffs and fuel prices drive inflation to 19% in January. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. Now to the rest of our stories. And rise in cases of infant mortality is forcing some residents of Cape 3 Point in Ghana's western region to adopt crude measures of marking children with dreadlocks to protect the lives of newborns. In a town where many child deaths are blamed on supernatural causes of infant mortality are being hidden under traditional beliefs. Joy News Justice Beidou spent days in town finding out the secrets behind the belief and why so many young lives are lost. We'll bring you that story shortly, but let's do more. Youth leaders in the country want government to formulate a realistic policy on sexual health to ensure their sexual rights are not abused. They made this appeal at the 7th Africa Conference on Sexuality and Health Rights in Accra today. The conference brought together first ladies of some African countries, representatives from across the continent, youths and women advocacy groups. Hannah Odame was there for Joy News.
Sexual health is of great concern to many people of all ages. Averagely, many youths have bargaining questions about their sexual health that is often left unanswered. Opening the Accra conference, President John Mahama charged heads of schools to protect young girls in their facilities to prevent early marriages.
School authorities must watch out. If a girl stops coming to school, ring the alarm bells, try and find out where the child is, and alert the authorities as quickly as possible so that we're able to prevent them from being married off. I, even as a man, won't want to marry a woman I don't love. Not to talk about a woman. If my daughter is below 18 and somebody attempted to marry her off, I probably would be in prison. I'll commit murder.
Participants will, for the next 2 days, deliberate and formulate policies that will protect the rights of the youth for implementation by various governments. These policies will be done in line with the 17 targets of the SDGs. Akosie Japong is a member of the Youth Action Movement. She demands realistic policies on sexual health.
We believe that our efforts would be thwarted without the collective support of our government, development partners, and civil society organizations. We also ask for the formulation and implementation of policies and laws that protect the sexual rights of each and every single one of us. For example, increasing the age of consent to marriage to 18 with no exceptions.
Convener of the conference, Dr. Uwemedimo Uko Isiat, emphasized the need for access to health services for the youth, free of stigma.
We must give them health. As they begin to struggle with their bodies, We must ensure that they have the right information and they have the right access to services. We must be able to create an enabling environment for economics to develop in Africa. We have the fastest growing economies, but it must translate to productivity. We are tired of being a consuming continent.
Ghana's First Lady, Dr. Lordina Mahama, is patron of the conference. Her duty is to champion the realization of all recommendations that will be made by participants at the end of the conference.
I believe that the most important strategy Africa can adopt in order to benefit from its fast-growing youthful population is to invest in the health, education, and general development of adolescents and youth. There are two new targets we have to work at achieving: the Africa Agenda 2063 and the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. There is no better way to do this than to invest in the adolescents and youth of today.
For Joy News, my name is Hannah Wadami.
We can now cross over live to the banquet hall in Accra, where the First Lady's Conference on Ending Child Marriages is underway.
At 10:11, when in point of fact, nobody knows they exist. So I just want to take the opportunity of being here tonight and take the privilege of being allowed by Her Excellency, the Minister in charge of gender, Honorable Nana Oyelitho, that's given the opportunity to speak. I want to put strongly on the table UNFPA's strong commitment and my personal commitment as an African man to stop this. And I can tell you, I have a parochial interest. I have 4 daughters. I have 3 granddaughters. I don't want to see any one of them married away at the age of 11, 12, 13, 18. We should all protect. I thank you.
Let's now take our earlier story on infant mortality, and this report is by Justice Beidou.
Smiles, and even wider smiles. These are the lucky ones, children who have survived past their 5th birthday. This is the Cape 3 Point Primary School. In this town, growing infant mortality means for children like these, surviving past age 5 remains a dream. But people here are finding their own way of fighting death. 35-year-old Awonyaba lost her first 3 children before they could turn 5. From what she tells me, 2 of them had shown signs of a fever and the other had diarrhea. Several deaths here are, however, attributed to witches.
Sometimes, witches can kill children. Like my last baby that died. He looked alright until one morning when I just found him lifeless with blood coming out of his mouth. That is how he died.
And that is the reason why children here are getting marked with dreadlocked hair and cuts on their faces. The belief is that this makes them scary and witches can't kill them.
The dreadlocks mark them. It makes them different. So if you have many children dying, you take them through the religious process to have their hair turned into dread. And no witch can kill a baby if he is marked.
But there are serious problems here that means children would keep dying from basic ailments like malaria and cholera. I have come to the Cape 3 Point Health Center to find out what is being done to stop these deaths. This health center itself was built free of charge for the Cape 3 Points community 2 years ago. But there are problems here that means no serious medical care could be given here. For 1 year since it was put up, there were no drugs and no accommodation for staff. The facility is unable to deliver babies, and so expectant mothers would have to make a 6-kilometer journey to the nearest hospital.
Sometimes when a woman is about to deliver, because the distance is very far and we don't have deliveries here, sometimes they find a little bit difficult, like maybe sometimes some of them can breathe.
It is conditions like this one that is setting even expectant mothers on the edge. Njamahunu is 32 years and 8 months pregnant. 2 weeks ago, her fisherman husband drowned at sea. Now, she wakes up every day nursing fear she might lose her baby too.
If you are pregnant in Cape 3 Point, it's a matter of life and death. And God is our helper. Sometimes you don't even have a car to take you to the hospital, and you have to be put in a canoe. You might even die before you get to the hospital.
Cases of infant mortality in Ghana have largely improved. So as recent as 15 years ago, for example, 100 children will die out of every 1,000 before their 5th birthday. Now, that figure has gone down to about 60. But that is even still high because the life of a single child is too much to lose. It is the reason why such beliefs in villages like Cape 3 Point give cause for concern. Because they may be right or wrong, but as the fundamental causes of so much death in children in Ghana persist, many expectant mothers would continue to live in fear, and so would their newborn babies. Reporting for Joy News, my name is Justice Baidu, Cape 3 Point.
Well, my name is Aisha Ibrahim in the studio. We'll take a break. We'll bring you the entertainment segment.
Entertainment news is brought.
Time for entertainment, and Miss G is here. Hi, Miss G.
Hello, hello, hello.
Isn't she looking colorful?
Okay, you're looking gorgeous. I love the red, and it tells that you're preparing
for Valentine.
And so I can't wait to receive some chocolate from you.
Oh,
at least it's chocolate
that you will get, but you won't get a kiss.
That's
not for you.
No.
So
I don't want that.
What's up with entertainment?
Okay, so a lot of things are, but you know, yesterday I was in town. I paid a visit to one old hip life musician who is now turned pastor, and I'm talking about Isaac Okan. He's known as the. You don't remember him?
Isaac Okan.
Yeah, Yaosiki, that's the guy.
Okay, that's what I know. I do.
Well, he doesn't pedodo anymore.
Why?
This time around, he's a pastor. Hip life musician Isaac Okan, known as Yaosiki, in 2011 rocked Ghanaian parts within the sub-region and the diaspora with his single Wopedudu.
One time in the morning, she one time in the evening. They use me as in toothbrush, always brushing for a reason. Spoil the best shit.
Wopedudu did not make #1 on the chart, but it gave the young man great exposure. The artist didn't relent on his R's as he released yet another called Jeggins Party. Those were the days of Yaosiki. In April 2013, Yaosiki's dreams were shattered. He had a near-death experience on the motorway.
Coming back from Accra, a friend of mine was driving. I was in a passenger seat, and when we got to the motorway toll booth at Accra, I dozed off. After some time, I heard the voice of my friend in my ear saying, "This taxi driver, why did he cross me like that?" So without opening my eyes, I was like, "Don't mind him, don't mind him." And then suddenly everything just went off. Everything just went blank. When I woke up, I was lying down on my back, and I was in so much pain. My neck, my arm, and my arm, and my eyes were open, but my vision was blurred.
During his traumatic recovery process, he had individuals and friends from the industry supporting him, but it was short-lived. The young artist, who was 27, had a life-changing encounter.
Doctor told me my chances of losing my breath in seconds was 95% in a near-fatal car accident. I'm here today saved by grace.
Doctor said when I was in the car like that, one of my neck bones had broken, and it was 1 inch away from my respiratory system here. And if it had pressed on it, I would have lost my breath in seconds. And so 1 inch away from death, God gave me a second chance. They said that there's this thing called hollow vest, and so they placed me into in the hollow vest. They placed the hollow vest on me, and I couldn't take my bath for 3 months. They had to do dry washing, dry cleaning for 3 months.
His new life resulted in dejection from all allies.
That used to accept me. They will not associate and accept me and receive me like how they used to, because now I have a different mindset, a different goal ahead of me. On WhatsApp, I think 1 or 2 are on WhatsApp, and the last time that I text one with the intention that I want to text her and then talk to her about Christ. When I text, she never replied. And that is the story for most of the old people that I used to be connected to.
God gave him yet another direction.
I was praying last year in the December, 2015 December. I was just praying, and then the Spirit just prophesied through my own self that I should preach and come to 7, 8, 9, and 10 this year. And so this year, that is what I'm doing. I'm just preaching in 7, 8. So now we are in community 8 now.
Yes. This is how Yalsiki fends for himself.
My bills, my family supports me. And then when I preach out there, sometimes people give. I preach in the trotros. I preached from house, in between lanes in the communities. And you see that people will not give you that big amount for preaching to them, and I don't expect that. And then all with family support as well, I'm able to pay bills and feed.
Question is, how sustainable? Will he become another Oforian Ponsa?
I'm not going back. Trust me, I'm not going back. There are a lot of souls that need to be won. You understand? And if I go back now and those souls are not won, I'll be accountable.
More in the second edition of My Time with Yalsiki, who now prefers to be called Yao.
But I know be person, so they no fit erase me. I be son of light, father himself when you raise me.
Very touching story, but there's still more to come, you know.
But imagine Satan for Okrobo.
It's serious.
Just because somebody accepted God,
you know,
he's no longer your friend.
You know. And he even told me of a story that he went to a recording studio where he used to record with the intention that let me go preach Christ to my colleagues or my former colleagues. And he said he went there, and one very top-notch artist in Tema, because that's where he's based, just walked up and said, "Look, I'm not interested in your preaching, you know, and all that. But I'll bring you more tomorrow and hopefully on Friday on My Time." Exactly.
In his new journey.
Okay, so let's have some fun now. And you know, Miss V always has fun when she meets me.
Yeah, so G and V.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to do a collab.
You see, she asked me to rap, but I couldn't even rap, you know. But this time around, she's talking about her collaboration with M.I. Abaga, who is a Nigerian artist. You know, she told me of how she got to collaborate with M.I.
Okay.
The Nigerian space, is M.I. the first you started with? Yes, he is. But I have a few more to come, so my fans should just watch out.
How does it feel like to be collaborating with Nigerians now? Because you've been in the business, you've done a lot of Ghanaian musicians, and now you've moved beyond Ghana. You're doing Nigerian musicians.
Yeah.
What's the difference? How does it feel like?
It's not. I wouldn't say it's different. They all have their own styles, but it's just nice to know that people elsewhere are listening to me, because I get a lot of comments on social media pages from different countries, and it makes me see that the work my team is putting in is going somewhere.
Now, I'm curious to know how you came across MI, or how you got in touch with MI, whether he got in touch with you.
My team got in touch with him, yes. Yeah.
And then he just said...
It was through a friend of his, a very close friend of his, and she thought it would be really nice for us to do something together, so she contacted him, and that was how it went.
And the title of that song is Show Me.
Yes, Show Me.
He should show you what, or who is showing who?
You know it's about a party, right? If you listen to the song, yes.
What's happening at the party?
You always try to make it about something else.
This party, did you show him your dress?
No.
You showed him your shoe?
If you listen to the lyrics, keep it low key, the things we had to do them for no see. If you're a rude boy, come and show me. And stuff about hands up in the air and dancing and stuff like that. So it's about like being in a club, just chilling. Yeah.
The lyrics are tight too. Even tighter than Hold Me Down. Also,
when you go to the club, what do you see people do?
You raise your hands, but you say the things before do, people for no see.
Yeah, it's all part of it.
What is that? In the club, people are there. What are you doing?
But when the lights are off, do people see?
No, they see you now, but
no, they don't
people
see.
For no see.
No, they don't
a coded
see.
area.
Okay, yeah, maybe coded.
What's the worst thing you've heard about yourself?
Worst thing? I'm not sure. The one I've heard is you say you're a natural girl, but you're wearing makeup and and things like that. That's I think that's the worst I've heard. Yeah.
How did it come to you?
It's sad because the person didn't understand the song. I think the person hasn't listened to the lyrics of the song properly. So, because it doesn't talk about having natural hair or makeup. It's about you being free to do what you want, but making sure it's what you want to do, and you reaching for the stars and not letting people push you to be what you do not want to be. So, and not being in people's shadows. So it's not about my natural hair or my makeup.
I'm a natural girl.
Nah. No, you're not a natural girl. You're in wig.
I'm not a natural girl, but I'm singing for Miss G.
You're singing for Miss B.
Maybe you can join her because you have your natural.
But I'm wearing makeup.
Okay, so you're not a natural. Maybe you have to start defining all this.
You see what it is and all that.
I'm a natural girl because my color is
exactly. But we're all natural girls. That
means
this is you and this natural babes. Anyway, so entertainment segment was brought to you by Airtel, the smartphone network. Aisha, I love your long dress. Keep wearing long things.
I love your colorful outfits, Miss G.
Okay. It doesn't change the fact that your dress is very long.
Very, very long.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for coming. And that was the entertainment segment brought to you by Miss G. We'll be back shortly.
Entertainment news was brought to you by...
So now time for sports, and Nathaniel Atto is here. Nathaniel, we're heading for the Olympic Games. What are our chances?
Well, Ghana has only one name, one person qualified for the Olympic Games in the men's, 800 meters event. So we're looking forward to qualifying more. But of course, there have been very, many problems along the lines of finances. So we're still looking at seeing where Ghana could possibly make the numbers.
We'll see about that.
But for now, the count is at 1.
Okay.
All right, so we begin with the look ahead to Rio 2016, the next edition of the Olympic Games in Brazil. And the chef de mission of Ghana's participation in Rio 2016, Chris Isofi, says that he's estimated that Ghana could qualify 24 more athletes to the Games.
Based on what all the federation presidents have projected, I am looking at 25 athletes at least.
25?
Yes.
Out of...
you are not that optimistic after all, the way you're smiling, but I can assure you, it won't come from me. It's coming from the federation president. I have no cause to doubt. Why are you saying Ghana? Haven't we had 42 before?
But we should always look at qualifying 100,
Oh, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
that's what you're expecting?
Yes.
We've hit 9-9 for the last 2 Olympic Games.
Yeah,
Beijing 9. blunted 9.
Well,
and we are talking.
No, things have changed. Yes, it's a system, and we are growing. So we should not focus on getting more. Look, but looking at 25, we might as well sit at home and don't go.
No, I disagree completely. I disagree completely. Don't forget that the Olympic movement is not just even a number of athletes you send. It's not even about winning medals. It's about participation. Okay. So it goes beyond that. One thing you've got to understand is that yes, it's a process. Olympic Games, you don't show up one day and you qualify. It's a whole process. I mean, we should have started way back. Some are targeting. Look, the reason why some countries can sit here and say in 2020 in Tokyo, I'll win 15 medals. It's science completely, because he knows that you, Benedict, I'm bringing you up. From the way I'll bring you up, next year you hit a certain mark, next 2 years, and by the time you get there, you're consistently. And that's exactly what you guys are doing. That's exactly what we are trying to do, but it's been difficult because when you don't have the funding, if you don't have the funding, the federation presidents are trying.
All right, so we bring you some more stories related to Brazil 2016, and Ghana's chef de mission has been speaking about the Zika virus, which is about one of the biggest problems confronting a smooth organization of the multi-sport event.
I think the last discussion we had, there was an issue to get even mosquito nets for every athlete.
But well, that's not the problem.
Well,
you carry mosquito nets from Ghana to Brazil.
No, we are not carrying mosquito nets from Ghana. It's not a discussion here. This is a discussion between Ghana, myself, and Brazil. So they are trying to provide mosquito nets for athletes there. Now, I think that by the time they have also said they have already started spraying all the 4.
So Dimitri Payet's future is tied to West Ham, according to his manager, Slaven Bilic. Let's go ahead and do some more within the English Premier League, where one of the biggest talking points is the approaching exit of Chelsea captain John Terry. Now, one person who's been doing some commentary about the future of John Terry is Ray Wilkins.